You made a fat joke, Tony.
Did I?
Own it.
I'll put it on the screen.
You made a fat joke.
I made a fat joke.
Yeah, I said yes because you stood on business, and I respected that.
Do most not?
No, they don't. At least I'm consistent. Well, not really. I used to be a leftist, but still.
So you're not a leftist anymore?
Hell no, I'm a liberal. Hassan Piker already hates me, so it's fine. Hand to God, my number one listen to podcast all through high school was Joe Rogan Experience.
See, I don't know any of this stuff. I'm a boomer. I'm not actually a boomer, but I sexually identify as a boomer. Olivia, thank you so much for joining me. Mm-hmm. This is weird.
It's interesting.
It's sure. Weird. I've told people that we were meeting up, and they were like, what the hell? Who was I talking to? I was talking to a colleague, another journalist, and he's like, what are you doing in Houston? I said, I'm here to interview Olivia Julianna. And he's like, how did you set that up? And I'm like, I just DM'd her. She was down. But that's not the full story. We'll get into it. So my viewership base, my readership base is mostly right-leaning. And so some know you, and they know you as probably like a left-wing shit poster, I guess, right? Or like a
radical leftist.
Radical leftist, right? That gets into fights with pretty big right-wing politicians. Yeah. How would you describe yourself? Like, what do you do?
I'm a left-wing liberal content creator. Okay. I've worked on some campaigns. I've worked at nonprofits doing political director work. But I think the gist of who I am and what I do is I'm just a nerd on the internet, and I've done that for about actually almost exactly 5 years now, since I was a junior in high school. So that's literally the gist of who I am and what I do.
We were talking a little bit before this. You've been doing this since you were like 17, you said, right?
Yeah.
What have you always been like left-leaning since? Okay, so you were right-leaning.
I was, so much so that on election night in 2016, I cried because I thought Hillary Clinton was going to win. When I went to sleep that night thinking Hillary Clinton was going to win, and I cried because it's like, this is terrible.
So wait, you were a Trump supporter?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay.
I was never pro-Trump, never liked Trump, but I didn't like Hillary Clinton at the time. I was like 14. And you know, when you're that age, your politics or whatever your parents' politics are, and like my mom's politics they're weird. Am I allowed to cuss? I don't know.
You can
my
cuss.
mom's politics are fucking weird. Like, they're so weird. In 2016, she tells me she wrote in Ben Carson. My dad tells me in 2016 he voted for Trump. So I don't actually know, but that's the ideology of the household I grew up in was like crazy Southern Baptist. Like, I wasn't allowed to paint my nails, and I wasn't allowed to like watch Disney Channel for like a good chunk of my childhood. Wow. So I was pretty right leaning.
So you were brought up right leaning, Christian household.
Christian household for sure.
Got it. So what was the trigger for you to becoming left leaning?
So my freshman year of high school, I signed up to join debate. And I think important context is when I was a freshman in high school, this is like Trump is newly president. March for Our Lives is starting up because you have multiple school shootings that are going on. Right. And I joined debate. And the thing about doing Lincoln Douglas debate, which is the style that I did, is that you never know what side of the case you're going to argue until you go into your debate round. So you have to learn how to formulate arguments for both sides of the debate. And so for me, one of the topics that semester was about fetal stem cell research and abortion. And like I said, I've been raised in this conservative Christian household. Like, my sister on election night 2016 woke me up tears of joy because she was like, he's gonna ban abortion. Like, that's the kind of household I grew up in. And I had to start researching abortion law and researching, pro-choice and pro-life arguments. And it was in doing that I personally realized that so many of these like right-wing beliefs I had, I didn't actually align with. And so it was in my debate class, learning how to research, that kind of started to push me more to the left.
You grew up in a right-wing household, and then, getting into debate. That was like the trigger for you, like researching the left's policies, and that was enough to convince you personally that you're now like Democrat.
It was that, and also, I'd been raised Christian, but I had been raised in like what I consider to be a truly Christian household, which is you put your money where your mouth is, like there's a natural disaster, you're gutting your neighbor's house, or you're helping them make dinner, or you're doing the canned good drives. Like, very much Christ hands in action.
Mm-hmm.
And once I started getting older and I started to see the intersection of policy and how people's lives are affected, I personally felt like, as a Christian, my politics and my morals aligned more on the left than the right. I don't think it was really hard for me to kind of come to that conclusion, considering at the time and now, Trump was the face of the Republican Party, and I just saw the way that he's talked about people, the way that he did things. As a Christian, I was offended. And the moment for me that was like my spark in content creation was after George Floyd was killed, and Trump, he walked out of that church and held up the Bible after they had gassed protesters away from the church. That was the moment for me where I was like, I cannot just sit here and not say anything and not do anything anymore. Like, this is an abomination in my eyes. And I think I think it surprises a lot of people to find out how religious I actually am, considering so much of the advocacy work I've done is related to abortion.
So you're still Christian?
I am. I'm still a Christian.
And you're pro-choice? I'm
pro-choice. And I say I'm pro-choice, but I'm pro-family. And that bothers a lot of people on the right that I say.
Yeah, they would find that contradictory, I think.
They would.
Yeah.
And I get asked all the time to have debates about abortion, the morality of abortion. And my kind of like grounding there is, until the Republican Party, in my eyes, has a platform that makes it more affordable to have children, that makes it easier to have children, to buy a house, just start a family, I'm never going to debate the morality of abortion, period. I'm just not. So it leaves me in a pretty interesting position to have some of these conversations.
Huh. Is your family still Republican or right-leaning?
My family's still really weird. I got one sister that's like a QAnoner. I got another sister who has like become just a mega lib now. My mom's politics are still really weird. My mom is like, do you know who Harry Sisson is?
Yeah.
So like Harry is another like left-wing influencer. My mom is fully convinced that he's like a plant, like evil. Harry's my friend.
Yeah, he's like a paid Democrat plant.
He's like we're like friends. And so I'm like, Mom, do you realize like the things people say about Harry, they say about me?
Right.
It's funny, I actually had to make her a video for Christmas this year. And then my dad is like medium swing voter. Like truly, like he's just medium swing voter. He could go either way.
Interesting.
So it really is. And then I have my other sister. She's just all Jesus. And I have a lot of family members, I'm realizing as I'm saying this.
Well, we're Hispanic, so our families.
Well, so my parents also worked at a children's home when I was younger.
Okay.
So from ages like 12 to 16, I went from being the youngest of 4 girls to the youngest of 11 with 8 boys. So I lived in a house with 8 teenage boys.
Wow.
And from that, I got a lot of them who I consider brothers to this day. I'll say my brother.
Yeah.
All of which voted for Trump. Some are Mexican, some are black. All of them voted for Trump.
Interesting.
So very interesting family dynamic.
What does your family think about what you do?
They are all incredibly supportive.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Huh.
Every single one of them. Incredibly supportive. My dad would tell you one of his biggest regrets as a father is I was invited to speak at the Women's March in 2021 in Austin, and I asked him to take me. He said no. And so I had to have a friend take me. Because I couldn't drive at the time, and he like says to this day, like that is one of his biggest regrets as a father. He's like, I should have been there. But they're all incredibly supportive.
Yeah, you're very young now, and you're managing accounts for the Democrat Party. I think you were doing something for the Democrat Party. You're like managing all this money. Is that accurate or something?
No, it's all bullshit. Like I think there's this idea that like I work at the DNC or
there was this rumor, and this is like around the time we connected, that you were like part of a group or board or something that was going to bring young men back to the Democrat Party.
Yeah, all bullshit. And I know who started it too. It was Ken Klippenstein.
Okay.
Because there is this like $20 million like young men research thing. I have nothing to do with that. I know it is a thing like that's been reported on, And so Ken Klippenstein, who is a hater, Olivia Julianna derangement syndrome through the roof, screenshotted a video that I had just done. It was just my friend's podcast. And he only had like 400 subscribers at the time. Screenshotted me talking about young men and put it next to a screenshot of that article, and he posted it, and it got like 12,000 likes. Gotcha. And like,
so he'll be watching this, obviously.
Well, maybe so. I don't know. I hate his guts. I think he's the worst. But it went from that to like I wake up and like I'm on like Donald Trump Jr.'s Twitter. I'm on the Trump War Room, and I'm like, then there's like, they're running segments about it on Fox News, like Prime Time with Jesse Waters. I'm like, what the hell? Like, and I'm like, put me on these shows. Like, I'll talk to you about
this. Yeah, this is good publicity for you, actually, probably.
I mean, I would say it's not the first. Like, I've had so many run-ins with Republicans at this point, but the thing is like they never want to talk to me. And that is part of the reason why I agreed to talk to you, is because a lot of Republicans don't want to talk to me, and I cannot seem to understand why.
Well, let's talk about that. So I messaged you around the time that this rumor was going on. And admittingly, it wasn't because of that. It just kind of popped in my head like, oh, this is somebody I should reach out to. Because, you know, for people that are maybe watching this for the first time, and you already know this, like I cover just Texas politics. So national stuff, I don't care. Something can happen with Trump or in another state, just doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me. I don't care. But I reached out to you about covering, about doing this. And I think the very first thing you said was, yeah, we could talk provided we talk about this tweet. And you screenshotted a tweet, and I don't remember who was in that photo, but it was somebody that looked like you, and I was bullying you or making fun of you, and I said, oh, that's Olivia Julianna.
You made a fat joke, Tony.
Did I?
Own it.
I'll put it on the screen.
You made a fat joke.
But I made a fat joke, and you're like, I'll do your podcast if we could talk about your tweet. And I was like, yeah, sure, you can come bust my chops for it. Something to that effect. And you're like, all right, cool. Hit me up in like a month. And then a month later, I hit you up. Yeah. And now we're here in Houston chatting. Yeah,
I said yes because you stood on business. And I respected that.
Do most not?
No, they don't. I can't tell. Like, they don't stand on business. Like, they'll talk a big game online, but then when I see them in person, it's like, I'll give you an example. Matt Gaetz. To make a very long story short, when I was 19, Matt Gaetz tried to body shame me on Twitter.
Oh, I thought that was going a completely different direction.
No, so when he first started,
just kidding.
When he started, he posted my picture, and I was like, look, I know you got to think for teenagers, but 19 is pushing it, don't you think? And he started, and I started fundraising for abortion funds, in his name. We raised $2 million a week.
Wow.
But the result of that was I got kind of catapulted into the national Democratic spotlight. I was trending on Twitter for a week. And I went to the State of the Union in 2023. And I ran into Matt Gaetz, this guy who had gone and done things saying be offended, talking to me and being giving these gross speeches about the way I look and all this stuff. And then the State of the Union, I'm kind of standing off the side of the House floor, and I'm standing there with Congresswoman Nanette Barragán, who had invited me, and she calls him over, and she's like, Matt. He comes over. I put my hand out before we can make eye contact, and we go shake hands. I lean, and I'm just I just want to say thank you for helping me raise all that money for abortion. And he dropped my hand and was and didn't even really say anything and just turned around and walked away.
No funny quip, nothing back.
Nothing that was good. It was weak, but it was kind of one of the first eye-opening moments for me of a lot of the people who say stuff online, they won't stand on it in person. And one thing I'll tell people is you don't have to agree with me, but I'm never going to lie to you, and I'm always going to be honest, even if it's in person. And that gets me in trouble sometimes in Democratic politics because I tell the truth without much concern as it relates to people's feelings.
Yeah, I'm pretty guilty of that too. There was a Mike Tyson quote I read, and I don't even know if he actually said it, but it was something along the lines of he was talking about people talking smack online. And Mike Tyson said something along the lines of social media has made people way too comfortable with talking crap online and not getting punched in the face for it or something like that. And it's just kind of funny because I've run into this too where people will talk a lot of smack online, and I'm let's just meet up and chat, and then they won't, or they'll block me, or they'll continue talking smack, and it's we live in the same city, we can talk. Very interesting. So about that, like obviously you've got a lot of leftist connections, a lot of Democrat connections, progressive connections. Any your friends, like your friend circle or people that you hang out with, any far right friends, any Republican friends besides your family?
I have friends that worked for Trump.
Really?
Yeah. Like I have friends that work in Republican politics. I have friends that are Republican influencers. And it never starts out of like oh, you're a cool guy. Like it never starts that way. It always starts out in like game recognizes game kind of way. Like I have respect for the hustle that you have, and I see that you're good at what you do, and like that's typically how it starts. And so one of them actually, I texted him yesterday and I was like, hey, if you were gonna ask me about this, what would you ask me? I got a podcast I'm doing tomorrow. And then that of course turns into a debate. And he's like, and he'll say something like, maybe one of these days I'll fix you. I'm like, all right, okay, sure.
You know, it's funny because you mentioned like that, like I think it's like Ashley St. Clair was friends with Harry Sisseter. There was photos of them hanging out together. When people see like a Democrat and a conservative or a progressive and a conservative hanging out, they immediately go to like one world government stuff or like some conspiracy. So like I'm really excited about the potential like conspiracies that you and I are like we're like related or something, or like we're funded by like some big mega organization.
Hey man, there's people in your party that say all the Mexicans are the same.
Right. Well,
it's y'all's people, not mine.
Well, yeah. Well. So you've got far right leaning, or you got right leaning friends, and maybe even some far right friends. Do you think that that's normal for like most progressives? Do you think like more normie progressives just kind of stay in their box?
I think it's normal for normal people. Like I think it's pretty normal for like, you know, if you're a college student on campus, like you probably have some Republican, some Democrat friends. I don't think it's normal for left-leaning content creators, and matter of fact, I would tell you for a fact it's not normal. Me saying that is like that's a no, and I know that because I'm too far right for a lot of people in the left content creator space. Because I dare to be a moderate Democrat.
See, people on my side of the aisle would say you're extremely far left.
Which is insane because I'm not like, in the issue of immigration. Like when I talk about it, I'm like, yeah, guys, I do want a secure border. Like, oh my God, if I walked into the middle of a left-wing content creator clutch and I said that, they would say that I'm a racist or that I'm a horrible person. But it's like, no, I'm just someone who grew up in Texas.
You know, that's funny you say that because I went to a couple rallies recently. The No Kings rally in Dallas, and there was another thing I went to interviewing people, and I asked them, and these were Democrats or progressives, do you support deporting people that are here illegally that have committed serious crimes? And every single one of them was like, yeah, provided they get their time in court and it's a fair, just trial, and they've committed a serious crime, like they're fine with deporting them, right? Yeah. And I think that that's like a normal opinion, but as you mentioned, like I assume that the very, very, very far left progressives would be like, no, like don't deport them. Like, yeah, they can go to jail, but let them stay here. I assume that would be like a stance.
I would say it's more of like I don't care like if they came here illegally, or I don't care if they've committed a crime, like they should serve their time here. Yeah. I assume that that's the reality. But I mean, I agree with that. Like if you come to America and you commit a violent crime or you commit a serious crime, you should be deported. And it's not controversial for me to say that because that's where most voters are at. But
Hassan Piker's going to hate you for what you just
said.
Hassan
Piker already hates me, so it's fine.
You know that, Hassan Piker? I'm coming to kill you in Los Angeles at your house. Or in the ring. No, in real life.
He's added to the increasingly long list of people in left and right wing politics that can't stand me.
So you've got a lot of haters, and obviously like bullying comes with that. I think it comes naturally no matter what. Like you become a figure, you become like well known, like people will find a reason to hate on you, whether it's your views or your looks or the way you talk or whatever, right? Like how did you feel going from like being like nobody in the sense of like you're not online to being online, and now like you're the subject of like news stories and memes and hate? Like what's that like?
It really does not bother me. And I know when I say that people don't believe me, but I think it really is the truth. I think I tell people when they ask me, I'm like, I grew up in a Baptist Latino household in Texas. Like, I have been conditioned for criticism my entire life. Like, I am when it comes to taking criticism, I have been conditioned effectively as like a Navy SEAL. Like, every mean thing someone could say about me, my aunts, my grandmothers have already said to me since I could walk. So it genuinely doesn't bother me, the negativity. The positivity, it's just like, it's the most heartwarming and just amazing thing. Like, to have people tell you their stories, or, you know, to hear young people tell you, like, you're the reason why I started doing this. Like, I was at the DNC this past year, and this kid came up to me. He was 17. He told me, he was like, I'm the youngest delegate from New Mexico, and I'm here because I started watching you back in 2020, and I've been following you ever since. And it's like, wow, like, you see the impact that you've had on the lives of people, and they'll tell you, and it's just, there's just nothing like that.
That's cute. That's to inspire, I guess, right? You know, one of the things they hit you on is like body stuff, right? And then I saw your Instagram recently, and we're working out. Yeah. Like, how is that going?
I've lost 65 pounds.
Good for you.
In the last year.
Is that mostly to diet or exercise?
Oh, brother, I'm cheating. I'm on Ozempic. I'm cheating, and I'm open about it too.
Do you like? Does it? I mean, clearly it works.
It works, but well, I do work out too. Matter of fact, I'm going on a hike tomorrow in Memorial Park.
Yeah, I saw you do like the work. Like, you posted a story, and it was
hot girl walks.
Hot girl walks.
Hot girl walks. Yeah, like, I just go walk. Do some weight training, and like, I've always enjoyed working out. I've just never done it.
It seems like you channel a lot of like the criticism and hate into like trying to do something positive out of it, which I think like a lot of people struggle with, especially women, like, right? Because I'm stereotyping here, and I'm generalizing is probably a better way to put it, but like, women take criticism of their bodies a lot more serious than like a guy would, right? Yeah. You know, you can hit a guy for being fat or being short, and it's just like whatever. But like, a girl like takes it very personally. I think a woman takes it very, very. No,
I completely agree, and I would argue that's why. Like, can you name another prominent young woman on the left who has the following that I have?
Yeah, not off the top of my head.
Not off the top of your head. You have to think about it, because it's difficult. Because you don't. It's not just that you get comments about your body. Like, you have people picking apart every facet of your identity. Like, if I post a picture with Harry, suddenly we're in a relationship. Right. If I post something for Pride, well, now I'm a lesbian. Like, I can't do anything without getting just like hundreds of comments of criticism. And it doesn't bother me. More so, it hurts me because I know that there are a lot of impressionable young people out there who follow me, who read my comments. And I know that their skin might not be as thick as mine. And so that's more where it bothers me, especially the young women. But that's kind of why I try so hard to be so open about how I'm feeling and how I'm living my life, and like, if I'm losing weight, here's how, because I don't want them to be like, wow, she's losing all this weight so quickly just from exercising. No, girl, I took the shot. Like, I'm being honest about it. And more people should be honest about it. And I think if more people were, I think the world would be a better place. I think politics would be a better place. People were more honest.
Yeah, that's true. That's for sure. Now, like, it's not just to you. You dish it back.
True.
Like, you do dish it back to the point where Attorney General Ken Paxton blocked you.
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about that.
My proudest achievements.
Tell me the story. What triggered that blocking?
He's just pissing me off, man. Like, he was on Twitter and he's just running his mouth about something. And so I replied with a screenshot of his indictment. And I was just going to leave it at that. But then he hid my comment. So then I did it again, and he kept hiding my comments. And I was like, okay, you want to play this game? We'll play this game. So I went to my TikTok, and I made a video and was like, screenshot this and go put it under every single one of his tweets. And so they started doing it. And so he blocked me, and I tweeted about it. And I was like, hey, man, what the hell? Like, you can't block me. I'm your constituent.
Right.
And a Newsweek reporter reached out to me and was like, you want to comment on this? And I was like, well, yes, I do. And this is in the middle of his runoff with George P. Bush.
Yeah.
And so I basically commented, I was like, this guy should worry more about winning his runoff election than what a teenager is saying on Twitter. And that's why his ass is in a runoff election to begin with. Well, he unblocked me. Apparently, he unblocked a bunch of other people at that point too. And so ever since then, I just have had this of like, you're looking at my stuff when I'm replying to your tweets. I know you are. I know they all are. I know they are. And
Yeah.
I take joy in that. I can't say that I don't.
Do you ever block anybody?
Very rarely.
Okay.
Very rarely.
What makes you block somebody? Because I block people.
I will only block someone if I feel their behavior has crossed into stalkerish.
Okay.
But other than that, like this is so funny, but it's the truth. I'm a free speech absolutist. Specifically on Twitter. On TikTok, I'll block people if I think they're annoying. Like I don't care. That's my free space. But like on Twitter, say whatever mean things you want to say. I don't care. And honestly, like I don't know many people on the left or right who have that mentality.
Yeah, see, I block people on Twitter when they're annoying or they're not funny. Like if you're gonna make fun of me, like be like original about it.
Be creative.
Be creative,
That's my
right?
thing. That's my
but
thing.
if you're just annoying in my replies and it's like the same stuff, I'm just gonna block you. Like it's public. You still read my stuff. It's just like this is not funny. Like,
oh, dude.
Make fun of my height or make fun of I don't know something else. Like,
There's
to make fun of.
There's this one guy. His username on Twitter is like Big Joma or something, or like Jomers. I don't know. But his handle is Bad Hombre. And
okay, I think I know that. It's Texas guy, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
He posts like straight up lies about me, like constantly. And they get like millions and millions of views. Like he perpetuated this idea about me doing this young men's DNC outreach. He's like said all this stuff. And it's so annoying to me because it's unoriginal and it's not funny. There's one thing he said, I was like, oh, damn. He made a joke last week that I was part of like the mission to launch strikes on Iran. And he photoshopped me being dropped out of the helicopter.
Okay.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. Is that f***ed up? It's so f***ed up. But it was so funny.
That's pretty funny.
It was so funny. I even responded to it. I was like, damn it, that's funny. I give him credit on that one. The rest of his jokes suck.
That's pretty good. Swinging to more serious, have you ever had like a stalker or like somebody like really crazy, like a concern?
Yeah. Like, there's a couple people who, their online behavior, like there's this one guy, his name's Ryan, who he's been blocked so many times, has made new accounts to comment. He's followed me to every single platform, including Substack. Like he'll get in arguments in my Substack comments. This guy's been like arrested for identity theft. Like he's actually a criminal. Will not leave me alone. Has like, by the way, Ryan pretends to work in the Trump administration. Oh. So he's like fully crazy. Him. There's a couple of right-wing influencers who've done some pretty scary stuff to like try to get under my skin. But like no one has ever really made me scared.
Nothing you had to file a police report or anything for?
I came very close.
I had to file one once about a year or two ago.
At the No Kings protest, I came I messaged the DA and like the county commissioner. I was like, this is crazy. Like
crossing a line.
It was on film. It was like Alex Rosen.
Yeah.
He like made a funny haha video where he like went up to a Houston police officer and was like, I'm looking for my girlfriend Olivia. Like this is what she looks like.
Hey sir, I'm looking for my girlfriend. Her name's Olivia. She's kind of she's more to love, kind of plus size. I know there's a lot of them here, but have you happened to see her everywhere? She's kind of wearing the glass, a little bit tall.
Looks like a lot of people you describe it.
Okay, yeah. Okay, all right, got it, man.
And like I get it's a joke, but like that one was too much because it's one thing if you're making fun of me, like make fun of me, make fun of the way I look, make fun of me being fat. I don't give a shit. But now you're actively involving a Houston police officer in this. Like, I feel like that's a line that shouldn't be crossed. Is like, let's not get law enforcement involved in your content. Because if it's me, it's one thing. But let's say some guy sees that and he's looking for his girlfriend or his ex-girlfriend or his ex-wife who happens to be a victim of him because he's a domestic abuser. Like, in that situation, is the cop going to know that that guy doesn't have the best intentions? No. And now like Alex Rosen has put this out there to this very impressionable audience of like, oh hey, you could potentially get a cop to give you information at a protest or a rally like this about someone who's there.
So your issue with that was just more not out of fear of yourself. It was just like inappropriate because like you're potentially causing problems for other people with regards to the police.
But yeah, exactly. Like you're potentially causing problems with other people. And again, like we don't need to be involving law enforcement in these kind of shenanigans, period.
Gotcha.
She's a pro-police Democrat.
You're a pro-police Democrat.
Pro-police Democrat. I believe it. I believe in law and order. If you come to my house, I'm gonna call the police. Best believe that.
Well, let me ask you this, and you don't have to, like, do you support gun rights? Are you a pro-gun Democrat?
I'm a gun owner.
Interesting.
I grew up in a gun safety household, which is why I support like common sense gun legislation. It's actually a pet peeve of mine when Democrats talk about gun control and gun safety and they don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. That's a pet peeve of mine. I think if you're going to talk about it, you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they'll call every gun like a AR.
AR.
Or they'll
which
say
is
like
assault rifle.
Right, assault rifle.
Yeah.
Or they'll say like it's got a clip instead of a magazine, or it's just very odd. Yeah, but I mean, I meet, especially being in Texas, I meet a lot of Democrats that are pro-gun.
Yes.
Like a ton. Yeah.
Yes, like a lot of us, we grew up going hunting. There's one of my favorite pictures is it's framed in my dad's house, is of me with this like gun that I have. I'm like 7, it's pink, and I'm wearing like this pink camo outfit. And so like I grew up in that kind of house. So but that's why I know that being a responsible gun owner is important.
Yeah.
So
interesting. I want to move over to talking about like young people. You're obviously a Zoomer. Yeah. Do you find that young people now are more inclined to be like socialist or communist or extremely far left-leaning more than when you were even younger than you are now? Because I find that as myself. Like, how old are you again? I'm sorry.
I'm 22.
Like at 22, like the last thing on my mind was politics. Like I didn't care. You know, I was working. I was more concerned about like dating and girls and other stuff, like not in work and making money, but not politics. Like it was boring for me, right? Especially even younger than that. But it seems like everybody's got, especially young people, having a political opinion nowadays. And most Gen Zers seem to be like far left-leaning.
I don't know if there's more of a proclivity for that compared to other generations, but what I will say is I don't think the proclivity to be left-leaning is any different than the proclivity to be right-leaning. And like I think you see that from this past election result. There are a lot of right-leaning young men in America. Yeah. And there are a lot of left-leaning young people in America. But I don't think that the ideologies are as rigid as people think that they are. As far as being a communist or a leftist, because it's a distinction. There's a difference between a leftist and a liberal. A lot of people don't understand that. I think it has everything to do with social media algorithms, just benefiting off of pushing the extremes of both ends until people are in these echo chambers. Which is why I do think it's important to have conversations with people who you disagree with. Yeah,
I mean, the algorithms are built so that you're watching stuff that reinforces the view that you currently have. Because, admittingly, if I'm scrolling YouTube shorts and I see something about some facts about some leftist stuff, sometimes I watch it, but generally I'm just like swiping away. But they want to keep you hooked on the platform, which is like why I tell a lot of people I meet, like, you should subscribe to left-leaning news. Like the best way to challenge your political views is to read stuff you disagree with. And they freak out. Like people don't understand that. Like I read plenty of left-leaning media outlet content. I have left-leaning friends, left-leaning colleagues, and we can have a beer, we can have food, and we can have a conversation, but we'll disagree politically.
And if you can't do that, that's a problem.
Yeah, the sign of an unhealthy person is not being able to sit down with somebody and just have a conversation regardless of their political views.
At least without screaming.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty rare. So you mentioned like right-leaning people, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, the Hispanic vote. The Latino vote has started to grow for Trump, like pretty dramatically. What do you think about Trump? What is it about him? Because I've got my own opinions, but like, what's your opinion as to why, especially Latino men, are becoming more aligned towards Donald Trump?
I think it has absolutely nothing to do with policy. I think it has nothing to do with policy, and I think it has everything to do with culture. I know that at least my family, if you are a man in particular It is your job to be the provider, the caretaker. It's your job to be strong and to make sure that you are setting your family up for success. Like that's kind of the mentality that the Latino men in my family have. And I think that although I will disagree vehemently with his methods or with his intentions, I think that Trump has done a better job at making it seem like that is what he wants to do for people compared to the Democratic Party. And I think it also has to do a lot with immigration. I think that a lot of Latinos are a lot more pro-border security and pro like punitive immigration stances than people think that they are. And, you know, I think you see that when you see like Vicente Gonzalez and Henry Cuellar, they get a lot of flack. They get a lot of flack for wanting more border security measures. And I think it's just this idea of strength. This idea of strength.
Machismo stuff.
Machismo. It's 100% that. And I think that that is something that a lot of Democrats just don't understand, because I think it's very unique to Latino voters. I don't think it's something you necessarily find with other ethnic or racial groups. And I think that's why they've had such a hard time kind of narrowing it down and kind of bringing those people back into the fold. I also think it has to do with the way that Democrats talk about Latinos. I have made it a point to say like just because someone picks or cooks your food doesn't mean that they're more valuable than any other type of immigrant. And insinuating or saying that, well, if we deport people, then who is going to work in the field? Like that doesn't sound how you think it sounds. It sounds offensive.
Yeah, I had that conversation at a Democrat event the other day I went to. It was a white woman that literally told me, we can't deport them because who's going to pick our fruit?
Yeah, like,
and I'm just like, this is like was it Kelly Clarkson? That's something like, who's going to clean your toilet?
Not Kelly Clarkson, Kelly Osbourne.
Kelly Osbourne, that was like, if we deport the illegals, Donald Trump, who's going to clean your toilet?
I'm so proud of you for knowing that reference.
If you kick every Latino out of this country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?
Oh, that's no.
In the sense that,
No.
you know what I mean? Like when I'm saying that.
That's a deep cut.
And that's like right when she said that, it's the first thing my mind went to.
It is, and it is the reality that there are two types of racism in America. There's the blatant, in-your-face, truly vitriolic racism that we all know from our history books. And then there is this elitist, white savior type of racism that does exist in America. And I think that the Democratic Party will continue to hemorrhage Latino voters until that is rectified, because there are people under our party umbrella who have that issue, whereas on the right, I think it's the other kind of racism. But that's got to be rectified, or else I think we'll continue to lose Latino support.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even white passing Hispanic. I'm very clearly brown. And I can't remember the last time like a white person was racist to me that wasn't out of jest, or we weren't making jabs at each other, like that was a friend. Like the racism I experience are from other minorities. Like I'll experience from a black person or another Hispanic. I get it from Hispanics all the time because I don't speak Spanish. I don't speak Spanish.
Me either.
You don't speak Spanish?
I'm a no sabo kid too. Oh my gosh.
Do you ever get into it? Like it happens to me all the time. I'll get an Uber going from the airport, because my family's all in Chicago, back from the airport to my father's place in Chicago, and they'll speak Spanish to me right off the bat, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't speak Spanish, and then they just go off. They go off on me.
Why not?
Like, you're a traitor. Like, what are you doing? Blah blah blah. Wait, why don't you speak Spanish?
My mother is white. my dad.
Oh, so you're a half breed.
My dad married a white woman from Indiana. Like there was no speaking Spanish in the house.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So I didn't learn it because I grew up in the Lower East Side of Chicago, and my father's logic was going to public schools was like, well, he can't join any gangs or any bad groups if he doesn't know how to speak the language. So he forbid my mom from letting me speak Spanish, or even speaking Spanish around me. They spoke English around me all the time, so I just never picked up the language. I know enough now to have like small conversations and order food, but like I never picked up. Even now, like before my grandmother passed away, my father speaks obviously very fluent Spanish, but like my grandmother would talk to my dad in Spanish and he would respond in English.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. And my grandmother, she passed away before Trump was a thing even, but she used to go off and get upset about Hispanics that didn't know how to speak English. She literally, I forget what she had a word for it, but she would get upset that Hispanics that were here in this country did not know how to speak English, because she came here and she figured it out. And she spoke fluent English. It's just kind of interesting.
I think you should try to learn. I think if in anything, I think it makes your life easier because
it's an easy language. I my wife's Japanese, so like I tried picking up Japanese to impress her when we were dating. It was really hard. It's horrible. It's like it's a horrible language to pick up. You can pick it up easily if you're like a weeb. I just don't have time to watch anime like 24/7.
That sounds terrible.
You're not an anime fan?
Can't say that I am.
What's your hobbies outside of politics? Like everybody's got hobbies. Like what's your thing?
I am a huge professional wrestling fan.
No.
Huge WWE fan. Like in that clip of me that went viral about the young men thing, I'm literally wearing a CM Punk shirt. I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys, and in that I realized like even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who supported Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it.
Okay.
And so for me, like, I got a kick out of it because I'm like, it's this clip playing on Fox News of me saying, I love frat guys in this CM Punk shirt. I'm
nice.
like, this is fantastic to me. Like, I don't know about y'all, but every Monday, every Friday, every pay-per-view, like, I am watching WWE. Which, can I just say, I don't like the politics in wrestling.
The what?
I'm so sick of politics in wrestling.
There's politics in wrestling?
Oh my God, they're all Trumpies. All of them. They're all Trumpies.
There's no left-leaning...
There are. The one that I like is left-leaning.
Of course.
He's from Chicago.
No surprise there.
But it's like coming to the point where it's like, oh, okay, like can we, like, gosh, like Linda McMahon, she's now Secretary of Education, so like Triple H, who is the COO of WWE, and his wife, like now they're all up in this with like RFK. I'm like, God, can I just watch y'all fight? Like, I don't need politics shoved down my throat every single time I turn on wrestling. And there are going to be people who counter with that and say, well, what about the NFL? Well, what about the NFL? The difference is, when it's my politics, it's okay.
Shit. Jeez, come on. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I've got hobbies, and I just hate when they inject politics into it. That's how a lot of people actually became right-wing. I am kind of a creation of what was Gamergate. It was a big thing. Do you remember Gamergate?
Is this where it was like they didn't like that there were women who were playing video games?
Something like that. And like, there was female journalists having relationships with the game developers, or maybe it's the other way around, in order to get like more favorable reviews for their games. And like, they were wokeifying the games before woke was a word. And gamers just got upset because they just wanted to play games. And I was kind of one of those guys, like, just leave my games alone. Like, I didn't care about politics. I was perfectly happy just playing League of Legends and just like let everybody else talk about politics. And then they started coming after my games, and I think Milo Yiannopoulos was like a part of that whole movement and stuff. And like
deep cuts.
It just went from there. I love Milo.
One of the people who I watched prolifically when I was a child.
Yeah.
Him, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro. Oh yeah, I was fully entrenched.
Have you met Milo?
No, I haven't met any of them.
I love Milo.
I've never met any of it. That's what I'm saying. It's like these people don't want to talk to me. They don't.
I'm sure Milo would talk to you.
You know who I want to talk to?
Who?
It is. Oh my God, I'm a huge Joe Rogan person, and like that's so uncommon for someone on the left. Hand to God, my number one listened to podcast all through high school was Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah.
I just talked about this on another podcast I did. I was like, no, my like big introduction to watching stand-up comedy was Joe Rogan would do episodes with Charlamagne the God and Andrew Schultz. Mm-hmm. And I would listen to them and like Tom Segura and what's his name? I want to say Bill Barr, guy from Boston.
I know who you're talking about, but yes.
Bill Burr.
Yes.
Bill Burr. Was through Joe Rogan, and God, I would love to do his show.
He's in Austin.
Love to do his show. They're not calling.
Yeah.
I've tried. I've told this person, I'm like, hey, I want to do this show. So is this my camera or which camera's mine?
That one.
This one. Jamie, Joe, if you ever see this, Big fan. I think we'd have a great time. Just saying. I think it would be entertaining.
Yeah, I think people would watch that. Bernie was just on.
Bernie.
I didn't watch it. Apparently, it didn't go well.
Did it not go well?
For Bernie.
For him? Did he get grilled?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Well, I didn't watch it.
Honestly, I like Joe Rogan podcasts, but I think the one I enjoyed the most was with Alex Jones, where he's just like being an insane person the entire time.
See? No,
You're gonna
don't
no.
hurt him.
Listen,
Don't
whatever.
hurt him.
Shut up.
The plan.
You're going
I got the plan.
to the ice wall. Listen, he's the ambassador for flat Earth. Listen,
that guy's gonna be a
This is what we're gonna do, Alex. Alex, this is
I
what
will
we're gonna
get
do.
you
Can
a
you give me
50-ton
Can you
ship
give me 20 seconds
with an entire crew that you're in command of.
You know what? We're gonna do this. I don't have to be the one that goes. I don't have to be the one that goes.
Pay in a minute.
That's you
They're
too.
normalizing it. No, the governor. Listen to me.
Do you really think there's people out there campaigning for late-term abortions? You think that's real? You think it's real?
Voted Monday to keep it legal.
Who would do that? Who would do that? Who would campaign for that?
They f***ing did it,
That is the
Bravo,
craziest
and
shit
you
ever.
can't f***ing admit they're f***ing killing already born kids, so you're telling me it isn't real when they had a f***ing vote in the f***ing Senate.
That's a conspiracy theory.
I am ready to beat your
Conspiracy theory.
You think you're f***ing tough, you're about to get it. Bull. They're killing already born babies. Stop f***ing lying, God.
But it's like the most entertaining. Like, what was it, like a 3-hour long podcast?
Oh my God.
I listened to the entire thing driving from Dallas to Houston, and I was just like dying the entire time. It cracks me up. I love that dude. Alex is pretty funny in person. Alex Jones is pretty
Brother, you
funny.
met some crazy people.
I've met a lot of right-wing e-celebs, and a lot of conspiracy theories have spawned from that. The other day, what was the other one? There's a photo of me and Ashley St. Clair and Nuance Bro eating Ethiopian food in a gas station.
Nice.
And somebody implied that I worked for Israel, of course, and I was friends with Elon Musk, and I had a physical relationship with Ashley because we were across from each other having food with also another guy there. And it's just like, do people just like not have female friends outside of?
These are people who don't have
like,
lives.
Very weird. Very weird.
Losers.
And it's like, you think I have connections with Elon? I have like 35,000 followers on Twitter. You think I have connections with Elon Musk?
Dude, this is how I felt with the $20 million young men thing. Let me be clear. If I had $20 million, you would know. Like, if I had $20 million,
There would be signs?
There would be signs.
What would be like the first sign?
Oh, that is such a good question. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I get $20 million. I'm having hella plastic surgery. Like, I ain't even gonna lie. Like honestly, at that point, $20 million.
You can't do the
like,
trans face though.
that's
Like
like-
what's the Amazon guy Bezos' wife? Somebody called her a Latina tranny.
Oh, what's her name? That's terrible.
I mean, but like there is this thing that like women get this plastic surgery and they do like the sunken cheeks and the chisel
Oh my God,
jaw. They
it's
look like
called-
literal dudes.
No, it is called buccal fat removal.
The buccal fat removal. That's what it
Buccal
is.
fat removal.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I don't know. I would just have fun with it. I would do that. I'd probably buy a big ass house.
I remember.
Oh, you would see me front row at WrestleMania. I swear to God, I want to feel their sweat on me. That's how close to the ring I want to be. Like, that would be the sign. Those tickets, that's $50,000 a pop right there.
So if anybody ever is watching wrestling on TV and they see Olivia in the front
If you
row,
see me front row,
she's made it.
something's happening for sure.
So wrapping it up, like what's next for you? Like what's your next big project? What's your next big thing? You just got an intern today, I think, right?
I got an intern.
Because you're blowing up and you're just
Blowing
way
up.
too busy.
What's next for me? Suffering. Texas
Suffering.
Democrats suffering.
You don't think the Democrats are going to do a good job this cycle?
I'm
The Texas
not-
Democrats?
I think there's a shot. I do. But I think there's a shot. I always feel like there's a shot for Texas Democrats to win statewide in the way that I feel like there's a shot that I could win the lottery. Where like it's not impossible.
Yeah.
Highly unlikely. But if Paxton wins that primary,
He's going to win it.
I think so too.
I shouldn't be making these predictions as a journalist.
I've been
but-
making these predictions.
Yeah.
I think the Paxton's going to win. I've been telling people not to count him out, not to discount his ability to raise money. And like, I think if Paxton wins, I think that depending on who it is. I have my thoughts on who I think it should be. I will not speak it.
Who is your favorite Texas Republican? Like, not doesn't have to be policy, just like even just personality.
It's bad because I have an answer.
Who?
Remember when I said it goes back to being funny. There's a small man in the Texas.
I immediately know who you're talking about.
I responded. One time I responded to Briscoe Kane. And I said, prove that you're not 2 children in a trench coat. And he just responded back, 3.
That dude is funny.
Hilarious.
I like Briscoe Kane.
Politics, terrible person. Terrible person. Like, let's just say it's the worst when someone's really funny and then they'll turn around and like, you're a baby killer. And it's like, all right, well, like now you ruined it. So I gotta say Briscoe Kane.
He's very funny.
Terrible politics.
Who's your least favorite Republican?
Oh God, who's someone who doesn't have a sense of humor?
I'm sure you've got a list, but who's like your least?
Oh, does John Whitmire count? Oh,
interesting.
He's my mayor. I can't stand him. I think his mayoral politics. Oh, I know Wesley Hunt.
Really?
Wesley Hunt. He's my representative.
Ah, yeah.
And
there's rumors he's getting into the race with Cornyn and Paxton.
Good luck.
He was polling for it the other day.
He was what?
Polling for it.
Good for him. Brother, if you want to get smacked, that is your right. It's your constitutional God-given right to do that. It's because I take serious issue with people who maneuver in a very clearly political way.
Oh, you think he's like a pure politician?
Yeah, I think he's inauthentic. And I go back to because before I moved into his district, back when he ran against Lizzie Fletcher, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. And I remember listening to it. And I was like, man, this guy is like sensible. And, he comes across as smart. And this is back when I was a little bit more right-leaning than I am now. I don't know where the hell that guy went. This new guy, that's not the Wesley Hunt I listened to on the Joe Rogan. So you think it's all front? I think it's all front. I don't think he's as crazy as he lets off, but that's my problem. Is like putting on a facade. I don't put on a facade. Like what you see is what you get online. Now if other people make me into a caricature, that's fine. But like that's just it's a little pet peeve of mine.
Well, where could people find you if they want to follow you in your journey?
This audience? No, I'm just kidding. You find me everywhere. I'm Olivia Julianna, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Substack.
Where are you most active?
I'm actually the most active on Substack.
Really?
I post the most frequently on Substack. I reply the most on Twitter, but I'm the most personal on Instagram. So depending on what you want to see, that's where you could find me.
Nice. Well, thanks for sitting down and wasting part of your Friday with me.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Of course.
And that's been our interview. Thanks for watching.